Because some people need to get their ass kicked so they will settle down. And Wendy Williams is one of them. I ain't saying right now she deserves to get her ass kicked, because life is kicking her ass all over the place right now.
I don't hear nobody out there. Hold it down. Hold it down.
Tried to keep a thick-skinned attitude, and that's what I did at first. As far as some comments I started to hear about Wendy Williams having a problem with me. But why? If I thought back to when she first arrived at the station, I couldn't remember any reason for it. During this time when I was doing nights, Wendy Williams was on afternoons. So obviously I came on after her, and the two of us would see each other in passing at the station. Wendy was a really big personality in her own right, tall and intense. Everything about her was a lot of hair, a lot of makeup, a lot of presence. She'd walk down the hall like she owned it. She'd done radio for way longer than me, and I always liked her on the air. She was offensive and outrageous, but extremely entertaining. As much as I enjoyed her, I was smart enough to keep my distance. Wendy is like your secret taboo, like you love to listen to her and watch her when she had her television show, but you don't want to tell nobody that, because that bitch is super duper uber messy, like the Tasha K. She's like our secret, I'm not thinking of the right word. I'm sure you guys will put it down below, but she's like our little dirty secret. Wendy Williams has done some nasty things. All right, but I'll move forward. Wendy would go about her business and I would go about mine. She would talk shit about the artist all day, and then they would come to my show at night to tell their side of whatever the story was. It was like an unintentional game of good cop, bad cop. And for the station, it was a win-win. But as much as she was killing the ratings and people were tuned in, I'm sure getting booed at events wasn't fun for her. And I'm sure the fact that I was booking all the guests was irritating too. Flex pulled me aside one day to say that Dougie Fresh's promo calling me the hottest chick on the radio was Dougie's way of shizzing on Wendy. Huh? It was? I never looked at it that way, because for a few years now, I had been the only chick there. That type of personalized drop was the norm. But I did take notice, and I tried to be a little more sensitive. Not that it would matter to Wendy. People would repeat an unflattering comment Wendy had made in general, and they'd add, "She's probably talking about you." My reply was consistent. Whatever, that's just Wendy. She talks shiz about everybody, and she does. And Niels, she don't care. She like the Tasha K. I think Tasha K said she wanted to be like a Wendy. But then it started to come more directly, with others telling me, yo, she don't like you clearly. The sensible thing to do, I figured, was to talk to her, keep things cool and clear the air. I hate weirdness with people. I planned to approach her at work after her show ended, before mine got started. So when I arrived, as Wendy was going off the air, the first person I saw was my producer, Patty Duke, who was getting my show ready. He was a small guy with a big Italian personality who was a fiercely loyal member of the Hot 97 team. Then I saw Wendy about to leave. "Patty, would you mind stepping outside for a minute?" I asked, and waited a beat as he left. Then I turned to Wendy. She could see I had something to say, so she stood there like, well, listen, the bitches that got the most mouth, 9 times out of 10 can't fight. Always remember that. Okay? Like, I would suppose Wendy Williams has tons of security. She can't afford the security now because she got some bullshit going on. But then she couldn't go to the Kmart in the Zaya by herself. She had to have the peoples with her. Hence, that daggone, what's his name, Kelvin Hunter? That ninja. That's why she needed that Kelvin Hunter. She needed him there. She could see I had something to say, so she stood there like, well, Wendy, people keep telling me you're taking jabs at me. I began. She stared back as if to say, what are you talking about? Bing bong. I tell people all the time that be pissing me off, people that be coming at me with bullshit and I ain't in the mood to talk, or I just don't feel like them in that moment. In that moment, the first thing I say, what is you talking about? What are you talking about? It's gaslighting, girl. That's what they call it. It's called gaslighting. You do it on purpose so they leave you the fuck alone. Are you talking about me? Well, first of all, what are you talking about? Because I don't know you like that to talk about you. I do. I be knowing what people be talking about. I just don't feel like talking about it right then and there, okay? I'll come back on Thursday and be like, what'd you say? What was that you were saying on Tuesday? I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that that's what the perception is. I went on. I've been ignoring it, but I just wanted to make sure that we're good. Well, you know, I'm just doing my job. I didn't really say anything, but okay, whatever, no problem. She was defensive and barely looked me in the eye and was clearly uncomfortable, so I let it go. Yeah, like I said, them people that talk the most shit can't fight. It be them quiet ones that'll murk you. Then she did it again. I kept bringing it up to her, but being nice about it. In essence, I'd say, look, I don't want us to have any problems. I know you're not saying my name, but you're saying shiz that feels funny. I gave her examples, like her comment that, you know, these other radio personalities are out here hanging out with the artists. And you know, Wendy does not do that. She does not make friends. She go to the club though, but she ain't hanging with nobody but her husband or her team. Like, if I make friends with you and the opportunity come up to talk about you, I don't want to be torn. Wendy came from the school of you can't be friends with the artist because then you can't talk shit about them. And I understood that was her thing and she was great at it, but I never felt that way. To me, I respected the artist. I respected the culture, and I always wanted them to feel comfortable in my house. That's just who I was. I wasn't necessarily out here looking for friends, but I always wanted to treat people with respect. We had different radio philosophies. She was a radio person who wound up at a hip hop station. I was a hip hop kid who wound up doing radio. Two very different types of human beings, but ultimately she was great at being Wendy. And all I ever wanted to do was to be great at being me. You know what's pissing me off about Angie Martinez? Girl, you gonna talk shit about anybody in this book? Anybody, girl? Can you say something fucked up about anybody? Again, I asked her if she has an issue with me. Again, she blows me off. No, it's fine. I didn't even say anything, whatever. No, seriously, Wendy, we work together. We have to see each other every day. I'm looking you in your face and asking you to please stop making this uncomfortable. She finally hears me, or that's what she says. I hear you. I'm sorry. I'll stop. And she did for a few weeks. Then the bitch did it again. What, y'all? I am grabbing my pearls. She called Wendy Williams a bitch. What? I was driving to work and had the radio on, and I heard her say something about my relationship. No mistaking that when Wendy said, I'm not the one dating a rapper up here. Ugh. If I was, maybe I would like that song. Just catty, dumb shit like that. It was so unnecessary and weird. And now I gotta walk into work and be cordial again. Nope, I had to try a different approach. The time had come to get management. Listen, I began not mincing words. I gotta see this woman every day and I'm uncomfortable. You got to talk to her, or we are going to have a problem. For many other reasons, management had their own issues with Wendy. Steve Smith assured me I'll talk to her, and it worked for a few weeks. And then again, she said something catty about my relationship with Tip. What the F? So I go into the station that day and I'm like, Wendy, do me a favor. Don't talk about me at all, because now it's a problem. I start getting stern about it. Seriously, don't do it. I gotta see you every day. I don't want a problem with you. I hear you. I see you. Stop. Girl, why you keep talking to the bitch? At this point right now, you got to start doing shit to her. Now you got to start doing shit like smacking her in the face with a rock'em sock'em, or a sock full of batteries or padlocks or something. You got to start doing stuff to her. Some people don't understand nothing but an ass whooping. Okay? She said something catty about my relationship with Tip. What the fuck? So I go into the station that day and I'm like, Wendy, do me a favor. Don't talk about me at all, because now it's a problem. I started getting stern about it. Seriously, don't do it. I got to see you every day. I don't want a problem with you. I hear you. I see you. Stop it. She actually looked me in the eye this time and said, okay, fine. I get it. No problem. She added, Angie, I'm sorry. I will stop. Finally, she didn't deny it. All right, cool. Finally, we got it out. It's gonna fucking stop. I couldn't wait to get it all behind me. A couple of days later, I'm at Margarita's house. My friend from Miami, who was now living in Queens after landing a job at a record label, and we're hanging out and talking shiz when I get a strange call. One of the record reps is calling to ask, yo, have you seen Wendy's website? I haven't. You should go check it out. Wendy had launched a website. At this point, websites aren't that big of a deal because not everybody was online yet. And personal websites had just started. Yeah, child, I'm that old. And you muckers listening to it, you that old too. It was almost unheard of. So I got to her website and it says, one of my coworkers is dating Q-Tip from a tribe called Quest. Oh well, I guess some women like men who like men. Everybody was gay to Wendy. Every rapper you could think of in the area, I had heard Wendy Williams called them gay. Pause. You know who else do that? That goddamn Corinne Steffens. Now, wait a minute now. Come to find out she right, though. Some is just come to find out she right. I know y'all looking at the Corinne Steffens like that bitch been right the whole time. Answer yes. We all owe that crazy bitch an apology. Not one or two, like every one of them. She was all about the gay rapper. That was her thing, and she was running with it. Are you effing kidding me? We just had a conversation about this. I am on fire. And immediately I called to tell Tip, whatever he says, she's crazy. I wasn't even trying to hear him. F that, I insist. I worked too hard and for too long to let this lady keep disrespecting me. I am going to deal with her tomorrow. This is going to stop. I woke up the next morning as infuriated as the night before and headed into work early to confront her. As I approached the station, I could feel my anger building. I couldn't focus on anything else and I couldn't shake it. The crazy thing is that normally I never confront anyone when I'm too emotional or angry. I try to be smarter than that. It's impossible to operate from a sensible place when you're that worked up. I knew it could lead to a bad situation, but at this point, she had pushed me into a corner. As I got into the elevator, I began to regain some of my senses and talk myself off the ledge. You know what? You're being crazy. You're not in high school. It's just Wendy. This is her shtick, and this is what she does. Don't bring yourself down to her level. You're not going to do anything to her. That would be dumb. There has to be another way to work this out. I was almost calm when I stepped off the elevator and started making my way to the studio area. Then I saw Wendy. She was prancing to the bathroom with her big weave bouncing all over the place, like she didn't have a care in the world. Hey, Ange. And man, there was something about the way she said my name that made my effing blood boil. Yeah, how you gonna talk to me and you know you got a website out there accusing my man of being gay? Now, Q-Tip has been accused of being a lot of things. An asshole mainly. But gay? Nah, she tried it with that. And then you gonna kiki and cuckoo in my face like, we ain't got no beef, bitch, we beef. It was so phony and condescending. The whole time she was in the bathroom, I was right outside of the ladies' room, waiting, pacing. Then Wendy came out of the bathroom and I'm standing right there. She stops quick. Didn't I tell you to leave me the F alone? What are you talking about? What I tell y'all about when a person be like, what are you talking about? That's gaslighting 101. What are you talking about? Bitch, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Wendy, I told you to leave me the F alone. She rolls her eyes. Ugh. And I lost my effing mind. Before I knew it, I was swinging at her. It was a quick scuffle. It took only a few seconds for me to realize that she wasn't really hitting me back. She was just trying to get me off of her. Remember I told you the ones with the biggest mouths that talk the most shiz can't fight? She was just trying to get me off of her. I think she was just stunned. Nobody got hurt or anything like that. And then Skeletor, her bored op at the time, came running out of the studio shouting, girls, what's going on? Angie, stop. By that point, Wendy began yelling, what is wrong with you? She grabbed the mop that had been leaning against the wall outside of the bathroom and just stood there with it like she wanted to have some sort of sword fight or something. It was actually kind of funny, even in the moment. I can believe it. I asked, what are you going to do with that, Wendy? She said nothing. Calmly, I asked, no, seriously, what are you going to do with that? She put it down and stormed back into the studio. I calmly walked back to the programming area into my music director, Tracy Claudery's office. I just want you to know before anyone else tells you that I just put my hands on Wendy. Tracy bounced right up out of her chair. What? She said, sit down. And she went storming out to go to the studio. I must have lasted for a second sitting there thinking I'd try to handle it the nice, positive, right way multiple times. As I sat there recapping in my head, I started to get fired up again. She put me in a effing corner, man. So I stormed out of Tracy's office and followed her to the studio. I bust in, and she's already in conversation with Wendy. They both turned around and just looked at me. They both have a glare in their eyes like, oh my God, why is she here? Tracy says, Angie, get out of here right now. I pause and look at Wendy, who is visibly shaken, and she lets out an erratic, you're crazy. Pause. I have always felt that there are two kinds of people. It's those who got a reckless mouth, who have gotten their ass kicked at least once and know the consequences of a reckless mouth. And there are those who have reckless mouths that have never got their ass kicked. That would be Wendy Williams. Because some people need to get their ass kicked so they will settle down, you know? And Wendy Williams is one of them. I ain't saying right now she deserves to get her ass kicked because life is kicking her ass all over the place. What I'm saying is you can just tell she has never suffered the consequences of her recklessness. Tracy says, Angie, get out of here right now. I pause and look at Wendy, who is visibly shaken, and she lets out an erratic, you're crazy. Me, I'm the crazy one. I could have been fired. By the way, I should have been fired. Instead, I got suspended, and so did she.